Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing a reading wrap up for all the books that I read in January and February. I felt like I didn't read that much in January, so that's why I'm combining it with February. We're gonna be talking about 18 books today, so I feel like that's a lot. Most of them are audiobooks, just because that's the season of life I'm in, but we're counting them. I know it's a controversy in the space. I can listen to audiobooks like while I'm working, while I'm driving, on walks. I like to be able to consume all the content while I'm busy doing other things. So we're gonna start off with the audiobooks, and then we'll do like the physical books that I read at the end. If you're new here, hey, I'm Elizabeth. I do fashion, lifestyle-y, mom, book videos, pretty much just like anything that's my personality, which is shopping, cooking, momming, books. So if you're interested in any of that, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and let's hop right into it. Okay, the first book I read this year was The Anxious Generation. This had been on my list for a while. I've heard amazing things about it. Listened to Bad Therapy back in the fall, and that was just like really eye-opening as a parent. I really enjoyed that one. Talks a lot about like social media and kids and parenting them and just raising them a non-anxious environment and how to cultivate that as parents, and specifically like anxious parents, which I would say I am. Fabulous nonfiction book, 5 stars. I would say if you're a parent, I would recommend Bad Therapy and The Anxious Generation. These will probably be books I read again and again because I did thoroughly enjoy them and got some good nuggets out of them. Next was The Lion Women of Tehran. This was a book club book for January. Oh my gosh, I loved this book. It was so good. It's really about a story of friendship, which I feel like those are the books that I love the most. So about 2 friends who grew up in Tehran on like different socioeconomic scales and just where their paths end up and how they still can be friends after so much. It was so good. I had read The Kite Runner earlier in the summer. It's kind of based around the same time in the same place. And so it was really cool to kind of dive back into that world. And I read another one of her books later on, but it was absolutely phenomenal. Highly recommend. Great historical fiction book. Next, I read The Homefront by Kristen Hanna. I did really enjoy this. I would say it's probably not my favorite Kristen Hanna book. It was a little bit different. So it's about a mom who's having some like marriage issues, but she's also in the National Guard and gets deployed to Iraq for the war. So her navigating that while in a really bad place with her husband, and then him having to step up and take on more roles with the children. It was really good. I enjoyed my time with it. I think it was just like a little too long, but I still enjoyed it. I love Kristen Hanna books. I gave this one 3 stars. Next is Eliza Starts a Rumor. I gave this one 4 stars, and I really loved this book. On its surface, it's about like some neighborhood community drama, but underneath there's like a bunch of different underlying problems that have been going on that it speaks on, but I feel like it didn't harp on it in like a too heavy way. I don't like books that like you can tell like their purpose is to talk about like this one like more pressing, hard-hitting topic. It was talked about in like such a good way throughout the book, and then like when it like harped on it at the end, you were like, oh yeah, like I see that. So I really like that. There were a bunch of different underlying themes. It's like community mom, rich mom drama. Like those are the kind of books I live for. It's like a grown-up Gossip Girl kind of thing, but like with stay-at-home moms, and I love that. When the Moon Hatched, I gave 1 star. I got like 80% into this book, and I was like, I'm not wasting any more time with it. So the audiobook was like 24 hours, which is like fine for an audiobook, but like nothing happened in the book. Didn't make sense. It kept going in a bunch of different directions. And at that point, I mean, I knew I was like so far into the book. That's why I counted it as like I read this book, because I read 80% of it. But yeah, I just was like, I can't waste another minute listening to this. And like 80% into it, I still have like 8 hours left. And I was like, no, like there's other books I would rather read. I don't recommend. I've seen like very mixed reviews on it, but overall I would stay away from When the Moon Hatched. Next is a YA kind of mystery book. It's called Anatomy. It's about this girl who is raised in a time where she wants to be a doctor, but she can't. They don't let women become doctors at this point. So she like dresses up as a man to go to the like medical classes, and then becomes a grave robber, meets a friend, and there's like a little love triangle thing going on. It was really good. I enjoyed my time with it. It was a quick, short read. There is a sequel that I'll probably read at some point this year, but sometimes just like a nice YA palette cleanser is what you need to like get through and move on, and that is exactly what I needed after The Moon Hatch. So I gave this one 3 stars and I enjoyed my time with it. Was it groundbreaking? No, it was what the doctor ordered. Next was I Am Anastasia by Ariel Lawhon, I believe. I gave this one 3 stars. I really enjoyed this book. I'd say like more like 3.5, 3.75 is what I would give this. So it's about Anastasia Romanov. She was a Russian princess, I believe, and then their titles were stripped of them in World War II, and just her journey through that, and then her telling her story looking back on it as like an old woman. I've heard like some things about Anastasia, but this definitely made me want to like read more and find good historical fiction books about her, because she's very interesting life. I liked the book, but I felt like it could have been told in like a little bit of a better way. It wasn't so like literary and like, I want to know what happened. I want to know like start to finish her telling her story kind of thing, and not more of like the present stuff that was going on. If you have any books on her that you would recommend, please let me know, because I would love to read more. I'm really in my like historical fiction era and really enjoying it. Next, I read The Book of Lost Names by Kristen Harmel. Loved this book. Again, a World War II book of this girl who is Jewish, and she escapes Paris with her mom. Her dad is captured and sent to Auschwitz. She finds herself in this position to help create fake papers for Jewish families, specifically children, to get them out and into Switzerland, free land. So fascinating, good little love triangle, a lot of good insights into World War II. World War II historical fiction is my jam. This was a really unique perspective, and then it was her looking back to where she did all this work as an older lady, which was very interesting, very full circle. Fabulous book. I gave this 4 stars. Highly recommend. I've really been loving Kristen Harmel books lately. Next is The Stationery Shop. And so this is the same author of The Lion Women of Tehran. Love this book. I gave this one 4 stars as well. The Lion Women of Tehran was more of like a friendship story. This one is more of like a love story. And it's so sweet how it turns out. So they meet when they're young in a stationery shop, and that's just like how they connect over like literature and books and all that kind of stuff. And they grow up, get engaged, some things happen, and they end up not getting married. They go their separate ways, marry other people, have other children, and then find their way back to them very, 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 very late in life. But it was so sweet. And again, it talks so much about their time in Tehran, which is such a fascinating time in history that this author does so well, because I never really like knew what was going on. It's been so interesting to dive into that world a little bit, and I hope she has more books, but I would love to read more of this author. She has a wonderful way of storytelling. Next was The Third Gilmore Girl, autobiography by Kelly Bishop. Really liked this book. She narrated it herself, so that was always super fun. She's just an icon in Gilmore Girls, and I heard good things about this book. It was pretty short, and I like that she narrated it herself. So she's had such this like long career in theater, dance, movie, and television. There's so many fun little nuggets, and now I really want to go and read Lauren Graham's books, because Gilmore Girls forever. I gave this one 4 stars. Ooh, next was The 5-Year Lie. So this was March book club book. Loved this. I flew through this book. I feel like I listened to it in like 3 days. It was so good. The narrator's like one of my favorite audiobook narrators. I gave this one 4 stars. It's about this girl with like a rich family, but then like all the dirty things that go on with her family's company. Her dad dies. Her mom starts dating her uncle and is engaged to her uncle. And there's all these things going on at the company. She has a son, his dad dies, and then these things happen where she's like, did he die? I'm not sure if he's actually dead. So then she makes it this search to find her son's father. A lot of different intricacies and mysteries in it, but it was so good. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this. 4 stars. I wouldn't really say thriller. I would say more mystery than anything, because it didn't like give me the spooks or anything at all. It just kept me on the edge of my seat and I wanted to know what happened. Last audiobook I listened to was The Forest of Vanishing Stars by Kristen Harmel. So this one is like very different for her. I did really enjoy this. Again, World War II historical fiction about this girl who basically kidnapped by this old woman who lived in the woods, raised her in the woods for her entire life. She's in her 20s, and then World War II happens, and the old woman who took care of her died, and she finds herself alone in the woods and meets these people who are trying to escape. They're Jews. They're trying to escape to free land. They're all throughout the woods in like Europe. So she knows how to survive in the forest. And so she integrates herself in their families and their lives and helps them escape. And she finds her dad, who she was kidnapped from, who is a Nazi soldier. Super interesting. It was a little woo-woo with the whole like foresty stuff, but it was very interesting and gave like another unique perspective of World War II that again, I thoroughly enjoyed. I gave this one 3 stars. Next, let's go into some physical books that I have read. I've been really into like cute little romance books because that's just like what my brain has a time for when I'm physically reading a book now. I started off the year strong with The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. Love this book. The end of last year, I really discovered Sarah Adams books, and let me tell you, she is such a good writer. Clean writing, no spice, which I really enjoy. Very wholesome relationships that I enjoy. So it's like an interconnected standalone series. This one is about a football player. His new agent is his ex-girlfriend. So navigating that, what went on in the past, them getting back together, all the things. Love this book, 4 stars. Next is my first Lynn Painter book, Better Than the Movies. Oh my gosh, you guys, I loved this book. It's a high school romance of neighbors, and it was so stinking cute. He's the baseball jock, and she's like a little bit more artsy. She's really into music, and they always just like bicker growing up, but then they end up falling in love, and it was so good. Like 5 stars. I loved this book. I want to read it again already. It was so cute. Next, I read Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, the 3rd book of the Empyrean series, the 4th Wing books. I really enjoyed my time with this. I really wanted to like take my time reading this, so I think it took me a little less than 2 weeks to read. I still don't fully know my thoughts on it because I feel like just so many things happened, and there's so many like nuggets in this book that we're going to need later on. So it did kind of feel like a filler in between, but like with good information. I think it's a bridge to the rest of the series, but we're not going to know for like 2 or 3 years at this point. I still don't know what to rate this book. I mean, I'd probably rate it like 4 stars, but I just like don't understand anything that happened in the book fully, and like all the theories, and just people have too much time on their hands to come up with all these things. But I've really enjoyed this series. I've really enjoyed the investment I've had into it and the discussions I get to have with my best friends about these books. So that was really fun. I mean, I guess I'll give it 4 stars. I don't know what else to rate it, but I enjoyed my time with Onyx Storm. Next is The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez, and that's like a little Kindle Unlimited novella from Abby Jimenez. I love those books. Good palate cleansers. Definitely needed that after Onyx Storm. This one wasn't my favorite. Abby Jimenez is probably one of my favorite authors of all time, and this one was just like a little, it's like a novella, and it probably took me like 3 or 4 days to read. So like, if that tells you anything, I enjoyed my time with it. Nothing to write home about. It's not something I'd be like, go read it right now. some of the other short stories by Abby Jimenez, I would say go read them now. So I gave this one 3 stars. Next was my February book club book, and that is All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. This was not what I expected at all. My friend, she said it was a romance book. It's not a romance book at all. It's more like mystery throughout the whole thing. Not even really a subplot of romance, maybe more of a subplot of like friendship. But it's about this guy, Patch, who is kidnapped, about his time when he is kidnapped, and then when he escapes, and just like the trajectory of his life afterwards, and the lives of his friends around them, and just like everything that happens, because he really just spirals and he wants to find the girl that he was kidnapped with. Like that's his life's mission. He has a daughter, he has friends, he has like family, but he just always puts everything aside and drops everything whenever he gets a hint of finding the girl that he was kidnapped with. So that's pretty much the gist of the story, and it's if he finds her, all that kind of stuff, and all the things that happen in his life. I gave this one 4 stars. I did really enjoy my time with it. I think I really enjoyed my time because it's a very long book, but I had like 5 days to read it for book club, so I had to like really read it in big chunks at a time, which I think was good. It made me get more into it. The chapters are really short. They're like 2 or 3 pages each, so nice to like pick up and go and flip through it. I enjoyed it. All of us who finished the book enjoyed our time with it. And last but not least, the last book I read in March was Nothing Like the Movies, and this is a sequel to Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I told you guys I love that book, so I had to read the sequel as fast as I could, and I just finished it the other day, and I give it 5 stars. Just to be back in that world with the couple was so sweet. Like, I don't want to give things away because it'll spoil the first book, but they get together in the first book. Shocking. They break up at some point in between book 1 and book 2, and then them getting their way back to each other. That's not really giving anything away. That's how most romance books go. So this one was so good, and I'm so glad I have discovered Lynn Painter books. I have a few more downloaded on my Kindle that I hope to read in the next few weeks. So I feel like that was a lot. That was all the books that I've read so far in 2025. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. My Goodreads is linked down below. Please follow along and stay up to date on all the reading things, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!